Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're looking at the ultimate predator, profiling what is undeniably one of the largest, most powerful meat-eating dinosaurs to ever walk the face of the Earth. We're going to break down its anatomy, its life cycle, and the incredible legacy of this prehistoric icon. I am so excited to take you through this, so grab your focus and let's get right into it.
Okay, let's start by looking right at its name, Tyrannosaurus rex. When you translate that scientific name, it literally means Tyrant Lizard King. I mean, right out of the gate, that title just perfectly establishes its legendary status. This wasn't just any dinosaur, you know? To the scientific community and to our imaginations, it truly was absolute royalty.
All right, Section 1, Meet the Tyrant Lizard King.
So the sheer scale of time we're dealing with here is staggering. The T.rex lived during the late Cretaceous period, about 68 to 66 million years ago in North America, specifically across the present-day United States and Canada. But here is the mind-blowing context for you. The T.rex actually lived closer in time to us, to present-day humans, than it did to the very earliest dinosaurs. The dinosaur era was just so unfathomably long that this king arrived at the very tail end of it.
And when it finally arrived, it was absolutely massive. We're talking up to 12 to 13 meters, or 40 to 43 feet in length. Standing at the hips, it was around 3.5 to 4 meters tall. If those numbers are kind of hard to visualize, I want you to just picture this. It was about as long as a standard city bus. Imagine standing next to a bus at a crosswalk, and then imagine that bus is a living, breathing, meat-eating animal. That is the sheer scale of the T.rex.
And you definitely need a lot of mass to fill out a frame that huge. We're looking at a typical weight of about 7 to 9 tons. But some estimates actually suggest these beasts tip the scales at over 10 tons. Just think about that. 10 tons of muscle, bone, and predatory instinct walking through the prehistoric forests of North America.
Moving on to Section 2, Anatomy of an Apex Predator.
Everything about this animal's biological blueprint was just a perfectly balanced, heavy-duty machine. Up front, you've got this massive, heavy head. To support that, you have incredibly muscular legs driving it forward. And to keep the whole bus-sized animal from tipping over, a long, heavy tail acting as a crucial counterweight for balance. And then, of course, there are those famously tiny arms, each tipped with just 2 fingers. But the true horror, and really the marvel, of this predator was hidden within those powerful jaws. The T.rex possessed around 60 thick, heavily serrated teeth. And we aren't talking about small fangs here. Some of these teeth were over 30 centimeters, or 12 inches long. Literally a foot-long dagger, specifically designed to puncture and grip massive prey. The absolutely crucial point is how it used those teeth. The T.rex had one of the strongest bites of any land animal ever known, estimated at an astonishing 35,000 to 57,000 newtons. Unlike most other dinosaurs whose jaws just couldn't bite through solid bone, the T.rex was literally a bone-crushing machine. It gave it a terrifying advantage over pretty much everything else in its environment.
All right, Section 3, Senses, Speed, and Diet.
Now, I want you to think about the movies you've seen. We all have this classic image of a T.rex chasing down a speeding Jeep. But let's be real for a second. How fast could a 10-ton animal actually run in real life?
Well, the answer scientists have arrived at is about 20 to 30 kilometers per hour, which is roughly 12 to 18 miles per hour.
So those older pop culture ideas that it could sprint at highway speeds, yeah, those are no longer widely accepted by scientists. Sprinting myths are officially out. But hey, before you get too comfortable, remember that 30 kilometers per hour is still incredibly fast. A bone-crushing, 12-meter-long machine charging at you at 30 kilometers an hour is still absolutely terrifying.
And what was it running after? Well, its diet was purely carnivorous. It actively hunted other large dinosaurs, famous armored and duck-billed herbivores like the Triceratops and the Edmontosaurus. But it was also really smart and opportunistic. If it found an already dead animal, it wasn't going to turn down a free meal. Scavenging was definitely on the menu whenever the opportunity arose.
Which brings us to Section 4, Life Cycle and Surprising Secrets. So their lives started pretty humbly. Just like birds today, the T.rex laid eggs and built nests. And despite the massive size of the adults, the babies actually hatched much smaller. They didn't stay small for long, though. They experienced this dramatic, rapid growth spurt during their teenage years, packing on incredible amounts of mass super quickly to reach their adult size. And as they grew, they went through a really fascinating visual transition. If you looked at a young T.rex, scientists believe it may have actually had patches of feathers. But as they underwent that massive teenage growth spurt,
Adults were probably mostly covered in scales. It's such a cool transition, and researchers are actually still studying this exact question about their feathers today.
Beyond just their sheer size, their biology was remarkably advanced. If they broke a 12-inch tooth, no big deal. They simply replaced them continuously throughout their entire lives. And those famously tiny arms? They were actually surprisingly strong. Combine that with a brain that was among the largest of any non-avian dinosaur, granting them excellent vision, hearing, and smell, and you've got a highly advanced sensory machine, not just some mindless brute.
And finally, Section 5, the extinction and legacy. The end of the line came about 66 million years ago, and it wasn't just some gradual fade into history. A giant asteroid struck the Earth near what is now Mexico. This was a sudden, totally apocalyptic event that changed our planet forever.
This impact triggered a massive global ecological collapse. The strike itself caused widespread fires and threw so much debris into the atmosphere that it quite literally blocked out the sun. This sudden darkness triggered severe climate change. Without the sun, the plants died. Without the plants, the plant eaters died. It was a total food chain collapse, and that domino effect led directly to the extinction of the T.rex and all other non-avian dinosaurs.
But you know, their story really didn't end in the ashes. Today, more than 30 reasonably complete T.rex skeletons have been found by paleontologists. This includes incredibly famous, beautifully preserved specimens like the one named Sue, which remains one of the largest and best preserved T.rex fossils we've ever discovered.
And because of these incredible fossil discoveries, the T.rex remains one of the most studied dinosaurs in history. It continues to be considered the definitive apex predator of late Cretaceous North America, a permanent fixture not just in science, but in our shared human imagination.
We have learned so much from those 30-plus skeletons, right? About their bite, their teenage growth spurts, their amazing senses. But it really makes you wonder, what other ancient secrets are still buried in the rock right now, just waiting to be uncovered and completely change everything we think we know about the tyrant lizard king? Thank you so much for joining me on This Explainer. Keep feeding that curiosity, and I'll catch you on the next one.